In order to understand tariffs backwards, I do think it's important to first understand tariffs forwards. So let's do an example. If I tell you that a certain family uses 32 kiloliters of water, let's work out the price on that. Remember that when you work forwards, you need to work through all the steps to get to the right answer. So you might be able to see that you are in step 4, but in order to get to step 4, you will have to work through step 1, step 2, step 3, as well as step 4. Step 1 is from 0 to 6 kiloliters. And for the first 6 kiloliters, there is no charge at all. Step 2 gets more expensive when we go from 6 to 10.5. So that means that there's only 4.5 kiloliters in step 2, and the rate for that is 11 Rand and 7 cents, giving us a total of 49 Rand, 815. I do know that this answer looks strange, but do not round it off just yet. Remember to only round off your final answer. Step 3 goes from 10.5 to 20, which is 9.5 kiloliters at a rate of 15 Rand 87. Once again, you're going to get a strange answer. Leave it like that. We only round our very final answer. Now be careful when you get to step 4. Although the step goes all the way to 35, you are only using 32 kiloliters. So it goes from 20 to 32. Don't accidentally write 35 here. That is only 12 kiloliters at a rate of 23 Rand 51, giving us a total of 282 and 12 cents. For a change, there are only 2 decimal places. When I add all of this up, I get a total of 482 Rand and 70 cents. You might have noted that the table is VAT exclusive. If I would like the VAT inclusive price, I will need to do an additional calculation here at the bottom. This will mean that I need to take the 482 Rand 70 and multiply it by 114 over 100 because it's a 14% increase, giving me a VAT inclusive amount of 550 Rand and 28 cents. So that is what you will pay in total for 32 kiloliters of water, VAT inclusive. Now that you can work forwards, let's try working backwards. Working backwards means that the price is given, but that you need to find out how much water that you used to get that price. So let's use an easy amount here of 500 Rand. But let's say that this is VAT inclusive, like most prices are that we pay. But my table is VAT exclusive, which means that the first step that I need to do is to work backwards. I'm going to do exactly the opposite of what I did in my last step for working forwards by saying 500 divided by 114 over 100. Remember that divide is the opposite of times. So when you work backwards, you divide instead of times. This gives me an amount of 438 Rand 60 cents. The next step is kind of like trial and error because I don't know exactly in which step I need to fall into. I know it's obviously not step 1 because that'll be 0 Rand. Might not be step 2 either because that's quite a low amount. So let's start working through the different steps and see what happens. So step 1 was from 0 to 6, which is 6 kiloliters at a rate of 0 Rand. I know it seems silly to write the step down, but we are going to need this later, so do not leave this out. The next step is from 6 to 10.5. And just like in the previous one, this is 4.5 kiloliters at 11 Rand and 7 cents. And this gives me 49 Rand and those funny decimal numbers again. The next step is from 10.5 to 20. I know that I need to go on because 49 Rand is still far off from 438 Rand. So keep on going until you get very close. So in the third bracket, it's 9.5 kiloliters at a rate of 15 Rand 87 cents. And that, if you remember correctly, gives us 150 Rand, 765. At this stage, it's nice to see where you are at. So if you add these two together, the 150.765 and the 49 Rand 815, it gives you 200 Rand and 58 cents. So we are getting closer to 438 Rand. So let's see what happens if I use the next bracket. So the next bracket goes from 20 all the way to 35. That is 15 kiloliters, and the rate here is 23 Rand 51. This will give me an amount of, let's work that out quickly, 15 times 23,51, which is 352 Rand 65 cents. Now, together with the 200, this is way more than 438 Rand, which means I need to work backwards now and just backtrack my steps a little bit. So it must be less than 35 kiloliters. So I'm just going to delete this amount. I'm going to delete the 15 kiloliters because I know it can't be that. That must be less because it's less than 35. What I do know is that all of these amounts together must equal 438 Rand 60. And because I have this total, it is possible for me to work backwards and find out what this missing amount is. All I need to do is take the 438 Rand 60, subtract 200 Rand and 58 cents from that, and I will find out that this amount is 238 Rand and 2 cents. This brings me a lot closer to the answer. The question is now, what is this amount that I need to multiply by 23 Rand 51, which is the rate, to get that purple amount of 238 Rand 2 cents? So once again, if I multiply when I work forwards, I need to divide when I work backwards. So 238 Rand and 2 cents divided by the rate of 23 Rand 51 gives me 10,12. So 10,12, along with all those other amounts, the 6 kiloliters, the 4.5 kiloliters, and the 9.5 kiloliters, all of that together will give me my total usage. So adding that all up gives me 30,12 kiloliters. And that is my final answer, meaning that for 500 Rand, VAT inclusive, I can get just over 30 kiloliters of water.